Alright, so for functioning buttonholes, after you've cut out the lining and the outside of your hood, you're going to cut a hole as well as a line to the hole around the front of your hood. And make sure this is thick enough for when you add the button flaps. If you know the distance between your horns, you just divide that by 2 and that'll be your distance here, and just make sure you leave a little bit of space for when you sew here. And that's the first step. Cut 4 flaps about the same thickness as the distance between the hole and the front of your hood. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to sew each flap to the shorter part of this part here, which in my case would be here. If there's an equal distance so that each of these flaps here are about the same size, then you get to pick which side you'd like to sew it on. I usually sew it onto the one that's closest to the top of the hood, which would be right here. Alright, the front of your hood should look like this now, and the lining should look like this, and this is the inside there, so this will be the part you don't see. Same with this one. And now the next step is to sew the front of the hood with our new modified front. Alright, so now the lining and the front, or the outside of the hood should be joined. Here are your tabs that you added. Everything's joined at the front. It's still inside out. The next step is to turn it outside. Ugh, can't speak. We're going to flip it inside out again so that it's the right way, and then we're going to add the buttonhole and the button, and we're also going to make sure that none of these seams pop. Before you turn it inside out, you have to clip all of your curves and also trim your corners. Now this tab right here, the one that we didn't add extra fabric to, is going to be rounded. You don't have to round it, I think it looks better. This is the part where we'll be adding the buttonhole, and this where the extra fabric is where we'll be adding the button. Alright, this is how it looks now. It's time to add the buttons and the buttonholes. I usually do the buttonhole first. And remember that the button will be here and the buttonhole will be here. We use the button to measure how big we need the buttonhole. And the buttons are now attached, as well as the buttonholes, and as you can see, they work. They open and close. You can open and close them around your horns or ears or what have you. And that's pretty much it. I hope this was more helpful to you than my original instructions. If they weren't, feel free to leave me another ask or message or anything you need, and I'll see what I can do. So thanks for watching this video. Let me close this. This is bothering me. There we go.